Welcome to Rock Solid Productions, where in this video we're going to talk about how to get the best picture quality naturally out of the Sega Genesis, Model 1 or Model 2, the Super NES, or the Super Famicom using this guy here. This is the OSSC. Hey everyone, Gary here with Rock Solid Productions, and one of the cool things has been just the number of different video game systems I've been able to play since really launching the channel. I've really enjoyed playing a number of different clones, but each and every one always kind of leaves me longing for, man, I wish I could play on real hardware. Well, now through a number of different pieces of technology, I can do that, upscale to something I can play on my HD TV and be really happy with the way the picture looks. So the device that I have here is called the OSSC, and basically what it does is it fixes one of the inherent problems in these older video game consoles. All these systems here, they output their video in 240p. We didn't know anything about that back in the day because all we had was 13 to 27 inch tube TVs, and it looked great at the time. A lot of these came just with an RF adapter to connect to the coaxial cable on the back of your TV. Some of them came with audio video inputs, and for the very few you could actually get component video outputs. Now the component video outputs would be like these guys here from HD Retrovision. With these cables it breaks out the video into 3 different signals. What it does for you, it gives you a lot sharper image and picture up on your display. The problem is it doesn't upscale. You're still outputting 240p, and for some televisions like this one that I have here, which is just a cheap Element Black Friday special that I bought a few years ago, these consoles and those cables, I don't get anything. So what the OSSC does, first of all, is it doubles the lines and the resolution from 240p to 480p. That allows TVs such as this to go ahead and recognize that signal format. I can play games now using my OSSC on my flat panel TV. It also allows you to do a lot of other things. You can line triple, quadruple, there's even a 5 times line multiplier built into here. Just going over the top on this guy here, we'll throw it on the table in just a moment. Actually, let's do that right now. So the open source scan converter, or the OSSC that we have here on the bench, this is basically how it comes out of the box. At least this version. There are 2 different versions available. This one costs 162 pounds. There's another version that's a kit that you put together of this, and that is 135 pounds. The way that this comes together, you can see it's got each port labeled. It has a really nice toggle switch here for power on and off. You have different buttons here to go through the menus. Not as user-friendly as I would really like, and that's why I really recommend that you spend the extra few pounds. The remote control is $665 basically is what it is in the UK, and basically that's how it comes out of the box. Just a really generic remote, but it works. Now, in addition to the remote, you'll also need a power supply. At the time when I ordered this, they were actually out of the power supplies, so I wound up picking one up at Menards that worked for me just fine. They do have an overlay you can get for on the remote control that actually walks you through and outlines exactly what each of the buttons do. It essentially, so I printed out a copy of the manual, it basically applies this setting here and adheres it right to the remote for you. So it's just a convenience factor. I did not do that at this time. Now this is version 1.6, and the big deal with version 1.6 is 2 things. You now have an audio input on this side, which was missing on previous models. Previously it just had a DVI output, which you would have to get a DVI to HDMI adapter. I've used them in the past, it's no big deal, but not having to go through an adapter is really nice. On this side, that's where you have your component cables, your RGB, your 3 different breakout colors for your video. That's what the SCART connector looks like. You have VGA along with your power supply. And then you have a very nice display right here too. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to power it up so you can actually see some of the features on the display. Here you can see everything turned on. Right here on the right-hand top part of the screen, that is the current firmware version. At the time of this filming, it is version 0.80 A. That A is very important. As soon as you get this, if you do order one of these, go and update the firmware. That way you make sure you're working with the newest and latest, greatest features. Now, right here, it's kind of hard to see, but there is a micro SD card slot where you can actually update the firmware. The A on the end of this, what that signifies is with this firmware, it will pass the audio through the audio jack on the side here and carry it out to your TV, whatever your device is, via HDMI. So if you have an issue where you're using this and it's not carrying audio output, that's what you want to do, is make sure that your firmware does also have the A on the end. Now, connecting this to a video source is actually pretty easy, but you do have to follow one minor trick. So I do have the HD Retrovision cables here. And let me bring in the ends because we need to do a little bit of converting here to go into the OSSC properly. So we have our 3 video cables right here, and we have our 2 audio. So the 3 video, that's easy. Blue to blue, green to green, red to red. Easy, right? Well, how do I plug these in? Well, this is where you're going to need to do a little bit of adapting. I wound up picking up all of these extra components at my local Best Buy. You can find them online too. Radio Shack would have been ideal to have these, but yeah, they don't exist anymore. So what I'm going to do is I have these female to female RCA adapters. Plug those into here. And then what I picked up is, this was something that we would often use for portable CD players and the like back in the day. This will take me from a pair of RCA jacks to a 3.5 millimeter stereo output. So left, right, and now in. At this point, I can connect the other end of my cable. This is the for my Model 1 Genesis, and that will plug back into the back of the system. Now, looking at the picture, it's like, wow, this is really washed out and bright and white. There's a reason to that. On the cable itself, there's actually a toggle switch where if you watch here, boom, it's now looks a lot better. So let us take a look at, how Sonic looks. Splash screen and everything looks really good, I think. The backgrounds look good. Extra life. Anyone else remember calling those extra guys? I got an extra guy. I think it looks really good. I wish there was a way that I could get rid of that blue border around the background. I think that's just hard-coded into the game. We are going to test out Super Castlevania 4. Now, one thing too, I'm gonna wait till we get here. That looks a little dark, much like the Genesis did. I'm gonna just lean over here. Hopefully you didn't see too much of my butt crack, and we'll lighten things up. Sprite work on this game looks amazing. Again, this is upscaling from 240p, line tripling, to 720p. And as sharp as this looks, quite honestly, if you would have handed me video footage of this, and I don't have the best eyes, clearly. Look at the mirror every day. That would be enough to hurt anybody's eyes. Anyways, if you would have handed me footage of this and asked me, was this done on a RetroPie, on a Super NES Classic Edition, or on original hardware, I probably would have guessed the Super NES Classic Edition. It looks really, really good. And I haven't even really gotten into the fine tuning on the OSSC yet. The audio sounds great too. That's another bonus here with the OSSC. I do like the fact that they added the audio input option. Going directly into a device such as like a soundbar, not a huge deal, but for like me trying to do game capture, just would have really been a bummer to have to do it that way. Now, not all Super NESs or even retro consoles are going to be compatible with this setup. You do need to have a component video output, so that's the red, the blue, and the green. So as we all know, out of the box, the original NES did not have that option. Neither did the original Famicom. The Sharp Famicom Twin, that did not have that feature. The Super NES never had those cables. It actually was compatible with what's called RGB, and so is the Super NES. I'm sorry, the original NES. Now, the thing with the original NES is you have to have it modded to basically unlock that RGB output. The Super NES, thankfully, and the Genesis, for that matter, you can output RGB or component video right out of the box with the HD Retrovision cables. all that I'm doing here, and quite honestly, the main reason that I needed the OSSC was because my televisions would not recognize the 240p signal going into component into my televisions themselves. So the OSSC made it possible that I could do that and then actually combine that with being able to do game capture footage for the channel here too. So here we have it, my Super Famicom. Yes, I know I need to retro-bright it. I know, but again, I'm able to use the original controller now. I don't think I'm going to go through the line, you know, the pass-through line, double, triple, quadruple, 5 times. You guys have seen that at this point. What I am going to do is just go straight into a fight, because one of the main things about Street Fighter is the fact that it'll basically, any lag, latency, delay, it'll come through. And with the OSSC, the HD Retrovision cables, one of the advertised perks is, you know, 0 lag. So let's see how Dalsim. Even in the Super Famicom version, I have to fight Dalsim. Got him. He tried to get me. I was able to do the Dragon Upper Punch. Got him pretty quickly there. Wasn't able to pull off the Dragon Upper Punch quite like I would normally do, but I was able to pull off a few times there. Caught him. There we go. Got to slow it down. I'm going too fast. What the problem is, I'm going too fast on the controller. So Super Famicom games look great. Let's wrap it up. So there you have it, my look at the OSSC, and it's an amazing device. Versus other devices similar to it like the Framemeister, it costs about $150 to $200 less, but this is still not an inexpensive endeavor. When you look at just the OSSC itself with the remote control, not even including the power supply, which I had to buy separate because they were out of them at the time, I'm into this already for $225. Now, I didn't buy an analog Super NT because it was a little bit too rich for my blood. This was an investment, but I could justify it because it wasn't just one system. I could now use it with my Super NES, with my Super Famicom, and with my Genesis. It's also compatible with other systems if I do get them RGB modded. It looks great and fantastic. It was a little disappointing to find out that my Samsung TV, which is an Ultra 4K UHD, can't handle anything besides line doubling. My cheap Element can handle pretty much everything but line doubling and 5 times the line sampling. So that was a bit of a unique endeavor that we find there. The other thing that really I recommend if you are going to do this is pick up the HD Retrovision cables from CastlemaniaGames.com. And if you are looking at them, if you use promo code ROX10, you'll save 10% off of them, and you'll also get free shipping and handling for any orders over 20 bucks. So they look great, and they really do an amazing job. All in all, to do a setup like this just for one system with the HD Retrovision cables, with the power supply, with the remote control and everything, you're looking $300. It's an investment, but if you are looking for the best possible picture without doing an HDMI mod on your existing console, this is an amazing way to do it. And HDMI mods, they ain't cheap. You're going to spend about that same amount of money, if not more, on an HDMI mod, and that is only good for one console. I'm definitely looking at, I only have one set of the Super NES, Super Famicom cables. I'm going to get a second set because I want to. The best thing about this is I can now turn what were just display pieces, I'm using them. Now, this doesn't mean I'm not going to use my clones anymore. They still have a purpose out there. They're convenient, they're small, they're lightweight. They're still great to break out if I don't want people playing on my preciouses. So they still have their place, but I am very happy to have the OSSC and the HD Retrovision cables in my collection now. But these are just my opinions. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions, any tips and tricks too. If you are looking to learn more about the OSSC and upscalers, I really recommend checking out the guys over in My Life in Gaming. They have an entire master series. My head swims just thinking at all the content that they have I've learned so much from Corey and Tri. They are outstanding guys. I really highly recommend that you check out their channel for additional tips and tricks. Let me know too if you have any other questions by emailing me. You can email me at rocksolidmail@gmail.com. We do answer each and every one of our emails. You can also visit us over on Twitter, twitter.com. Look for Rock Solid Studios over there, or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/rocksolidproductions. Finally, if you want to help, we are kind of trying to raise some money to help offset the cost, this sucker wasn't cheap, of the OSSC. You can do so by visiting us over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/rocksolid. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us do things like pick up the OSSC, which, again, not cheap. You do get early access to all of our videos. We are putting links up there too to our Discord servers. We have private one-on-one conversations as well with everyone. We try to just do something cool for everyone. And we were doing something for a while where if you pledged $25 in a single pledge, we'd send you a free t-shirt. Now, once you hit $25 lifetime, we're going to send you a shirt. So good to know there too. And if you do want to send us anything to review, look out, check out, we will have our address down in the more info section down below. So this thing is awesome. I absolutely love it. I'm excited to spend more time with the original hardware, and I think you will be too. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.